So 2020 is finally coming to an end. In my last video, I took a look back at Nintendo's past year, but now I think it's time to start looking towards the future into 2021. And as many people are going to be making their New Year's resolutions for the upcoming year, I think if Nintendo was to have one, with all the issues I have with this company, which there are many, the one thing I think they should really be working on that I don't think would be very difficult either is simply they should try not hating their fans. I know, pretty wild concept for the big end, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff they could be improving on, but I think this is by far the easiest. I don't think it's difficult at all. And many of these issues they've had over it, I don't even think should have been happening in the first place. We can start by addressing probably their biggest controversy with the fans this year, which was the Melee stuff. If you're not aware, Nintendo sent a cease and desist to a Melee tournament that was going to be using their own software to make Smash Bros. Melee playable online, with us being in a global pandemic right now where you literally can't have in-person tournaments. This is the only way to continue to support these communities, and Nintendo swiftly shut it down for, like I said, no reason, at least in my opinion, the way I see things. And I'm so sick of people acting like this is necessary for them to protect their IPs, the stuff they throw out there, as if this doesn't happen with other games all the time. People making, whether it be fan games, adding online, or even building their own servers for like old MMOs and that. Yet it's always Nintendo who's making news for actually going after these people. I've said this before, and it's sort of a defense for some of the choices they make in this regard, but it's like, if you're not doing anything with these games, you don't want to add like a Melee HD on the Switch or something with online play, which it seems pretty clear they don't, then it's not like this has anything to do with actual money. It's not like it's costing you sales for people to be able to play Melee online. This is usually my position when it comes to like pirating versus preservation. Is the current rights holder actively selling the game, actually making money off of it? And the answer is no. Nintendo is not making a single dime off any copy of Melee that is currently being sold. And I've said that to me, if they did want to offer the game up themselves, I would find that to be a suitable solution. Because like right now at this point, the genie's out of the bottle. It's not like they could go back on this decision. I know you guys with the free Melee and stuff, I'm glad you're out there, but at the end of the day, they are never going to pull back on that, because that's actually where you get into some trouble with the whole IP stuff. As like I suggested, they should have just looked the other way, ignored it. That's what companies do. But you can't start going out and being like, oh, this is one's okay, but that one's not okay, because that's where you really are going to run into trouble. So I don't think there's any way they're actually going to rescind that cease and desist or something like that. Even if they did regret it, at this point, they're not going to. But yeah, they could just offer it up themselves, make some money, just like with a lot of these fan games. Instead of going after these people, they should be hiring them. I didn't play the whole Project Slippy thing myself, but I know it uses like rollback netcode and that stuff. Hire them to come help and make the game work on the Switch. And I know some defenders will come in with broken logic about them re-releasing an old Melee HD. I've seen some of this stuff online like, Melee HD would compete with Ultimate, and they're not going to do that. Having the old game playable on the new console is going to, I don't know, hurt the appeal of the new one? As if it isn't completely normal to have old games in a series offered on a new platform. Like, look at Street Fighter. You can play damn near every Street Fighter game ever made on all current gen systems. They did that Anniversary Collection not too long ago. Again, many of those games had online play added as part of the collection, and Nintendo fanboys want to just act like, oh no, that's impossible, nobody would ever do that. Guys, you really need to understand that just because Nintendo would never bundle a bunch of old games, put some actual effort into them by adding new features, and offer them up for sale at a reasonable price, yeah, Nintendo would never do that, doesn't mean it's not a common practice in the industry. It's like all these defenses people come up with for Nintendo, the logic only works if you refuse to look at literally any other company in the industry. And then this Melee thing went further, like it affected a Splatoon tournament that Nintendo was having because a lot of the people were being outspoken about the Melee stuff, and they canceled their live stream of it, which I would actually go a little bit further with the tournament stuff, like how they do practically nothing with their competitive games. again, compared to what other companies do. They'll do a tournament now and then, and the winner gets like a gift card or a stupid controller, while other competitive games offer up prize pots of thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars. It's just such a joke. And while not all games are that big, like, I think Splatoon could be bigger if Nintendo actually paid some attention to it and promoted it more, but it's never going to be on the level of a Call of Duty or something, I get that. But Smash, it kind of is. It's one of, if not the biggest fighting game there is. It's consistently at events like EVO, which is the biggest fighting game tournament of the whole year. It consistently gets massive views. Many thousands of people turn in to watch the Smash games. And building off that, it was only a couple years ago that Nintendo was trying to keep EVO from streaming Melee. It's like they don't only want to not promote their competitive scenes, their fan bases, but they also want to go as far to stop people from doing it themselves. Just, I don't get it. But, I'm not expecting them really to grasp or even have a basic understanding of the esports angle and how that stuff can work as big promotion for your game, because it was only recently that they allowed people to make YouTube videos about their game without hitting them with copyright strikes. So, what can you do? This company's just so far behind on the times when it comes to those fan relations. And beyond that stuff, all these just anti-consumer moves, like this whole pulling games from the eShop thing they're saying at least they're going to do in March. If you follow me, this pisses me off a lot as I talk about it all the time. But yeah, this attempt to create like artificial scarcity for digital games is just so gross and just so predatory again on your fan base. I mean, you better buy these rushed ports before they're gone. Like, gone where? Nintendo, where are they going to? It's not like you can run out of inventory for a digital product. A physical game, yeah, I get stopping printing. That happens to literally all games, which is why some are rare that aren't even some kind of special anniversary edition type deal. But to pull a digital game from the eShop, and for what? Doug Bowser did that interview where he somehow managed to say nothing about anything recently, and when he was asked about that, he was like, oh, it's because we see it as a celebration. That's your reasoning? It's a celebration, so you have to pull the game? You really cleared things up there, Doug. Glad you popped out of your hole to give us that little knowledge nugget. I guess we'll see you at E3 next year, if that even happens. And like I've said, I don't think, especially the Mario games from 3D All-Stars, I don't think they're going away, at least not for a long period. I think we'll get some other new way to buy them. But that doesn't make this any less scummy. In some ways, if that does end up happening, it's kind of more scummy, because then you're trying to trick people into panic buying this stuff before they can't anymore, only to be like, oh, JK, bro, you can still buy it. I mean, if that does end up happening, if they do end up making like the Mario games available separately, individually, or something like that, how many people, if they would have known that, would have waited to buy these games, maybe for them to go on sale or something? But, oh, you gotta buy it now or you miss out. Just hate that shit so much. I've got to be honest, as successful as the Switch has been, I feel like a lot of these types of decisions that have been made under the new regime have just been awful. Like, yeah, Nintendo has had problems in all these areas before, but it's just gotten much worse in recent years. And as I've stated, for what? Like with the Smash stuff, you literally get nothing but bad PR out of it. Shutting down a Melee tournament, pulling the plug on your Splatoon tournament as a result, it just keeps making you look worse and worse. And yeah, in terms of any type of sales and that it could be costing you, I can pretty much guarantee you anyone playing Melee competitively that would play Melee online with this software almost assuredly owns Smash Bros. Ultimate already. And like I said, you're not offering up Melee or any other previous Smash game for sale right now, so what do you care? And it's not like people want to hate you, Nintendo. Well, some do. I do some days. But most people love these games, love these IPs, these characters, and want to have a solid relationship between themselves, the fans, and Nintendo. But it's like they just seem to want to go out of their way to make things hard in that regard. And yeah, I think they should really consider if it's worth it. Like, for much of this, I don't even really see what Nintendo gets out of it, besides just being total dicks. So yeah, if we can really work on one thing in 2021, Nintendo, it's improving that relationship between you and the fans, because I think it's been heavily fractured over recent years, but most notably this year. So I hope we can turn things around. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on the relationship between Nintendo and their fans in the comments. What do you think about some of these decisions that Nintendo has made when it comes to fan relations recently? And do you wish they would turn things around in 2021? Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this discussion of Nintendo hating their fans. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter at Johnny Zakari and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends, link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.